People are always asking why companies don't make phones with headset jacks anymore. Why no more SD card slot? Why no more removable batteries? And why can't we do any of that with water resistance? Well, just like the unbreakable screen, you just weren't looking. And actually, you can still do it with Samsung releasing a phone that gives you that in 2024 and an upgraded version that does unfortunately drop the headset jack aspect in 2025. This is the headset jack having, water resistant, battery and SD card removing phone that happens to be durable too. This is the Samsung XCover6 Pro, and it's something. Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and today we have a phone everyone wants to buy, but no one buys. So let's talk about it. So there is a Band-Aid. Should we rip it off? Nah, let's wait a little bit. Well, technically we have to slightly peel it up and rip some hairs because this phone is ugly. Sure, there's some burnt red accents to it to add some flair, but I'm not gonna gaslight anyone to thinking that this is a beautiful phone. But there's a reason for that. The frame is a ribbed plastic. No surprise there, given the durable nature of the phone, with a button on the left called the X cover button, which is essentially a programmable button that you can press and hold, allowing you to do two actions depending on how you do it, and honestly is pretty cool. You can use it with a push-to-talk app, but no. Then on the top we have a microphone, headset jack, wow, and the top button, which does the same thing as the X cover button, and there's also a multicolor LED for notifications. Yes, LED light and headset jack, mind-blowing. Then on the right side we have the volume buttons, which I honestly wish were on the left side, and then we also have the power button, which not only has a fingerprint scanner, but also allows for even more customization where you can press and hold for Bixby, but double press for actions and opening apps, not just the camera. You can even double press to record video and such, though you'll still need to press start when that does happen. Lots of customization out of these buttons, making it surprising that the volume buttons can't be remapped. Then on the bottom we have a single loudspeaker, ouch, as well as a microphone and 2 pins for the charging docks. If you know, you know. As well as USB-C 3.2 port that allows for 25 watts of wired charging, but mine seems to only be 15 watts. On the back, we have a pretty bright single flash LED, or at least when you're using the flashlight, it's single. It is still pretty bright. Then we have 2 red cutouts for the usable cameras because there is no useless 2 megapixel sensors here. Then of course the back is removable and shows the nano SIM and micro SD card slot. I do find it annoying that like the Samsung S6, the phone has to turn off in order to read the SIM, but of course it's because of the removable 4050 mAh or 15.59 watt-hour battery cell. I know that this is obvious given the phone, but seeing a removable battery in a phone with the power of a Samsung Galaxy S is definitely a sight to see, and it's not even the first, obviously, given the name. Once the back is off, you can see that there is a water seal on here, so clearly you gotta be careful if you're constantly taking the back off. One thing I will note is that the front screen does suffer the same defect as the older S4 Active through the S7 Active, and that's this. They're not durable. This PLS LCD, which I guess is technically better than TFT but doesn't really feel like it, is what we have on the front, as well as some decently sized bezels and a forehead and chin that would make the Samsung A20 cry. It is a 120Hz 1080p panel at 6.6 inches and a screen brightness of about 500 nits, which is not great but also not bad. No super brightness in direct sunlight though, ironic given the use case for the phone. Speaking of, they do make cases for the phone as well as screen protectors, something that you should consider buying because this is what the screen looked like before I fixed it. An ironic statement for a rugged phone. But yes, the Gorilla Glass Victus Plus is not bulletproof as you see here, but hey, it is what the S22 Ultra of the same year had, so at least they didn't cheap out there. While it doesn't always feel like this phone is fairly heavy at 235 grams, but honestly a Pro Max iPhone feels heavier, even if it's not. At 6.65 inches tall, it is pretty close to the screen size and is a fairly tall phone overall. This phone is military standard 810H certified, but so is the LG G6. So yeah, grain of salt, or whatever the saying is. Now when it comes to specs, more Band-Aid pulling. This phone runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G processor with 6GB of RAM. This pairs with 128GB of storage, which is perfectly fine, but remember, SD card slot. We get Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2 support, and of course 5G, so good to great connectivity. It's funny to see, but up until the Samsung S5 on the S line, the NFC was in the battery, just like this. Remember when people thought that the government was spying on people or listening on conversations because they didn't understand what an NFC pad was? Man, some people are just so dumb. Anyways, the processor is good, but I moved to the Nothing Phone 1 after this, which is the Snapdragon 778G Plus, and honestly, it felt like a night and day difference. While we are on Android 16 now, I will say that this phone doesn't seem to handle it the best. It's a little bit better than the A15 5G, but this processor is similar to the Snapdragon 855 or Samsung S10, so it's kind of not surprising. I was honestly disappointed because I thought that this would be a great mid-range phone, but it's borderlining budget speed. I mean, it's definitely not the worst, but the phone does warm up and burn through battery, but does the latter even matter? You can turn this into an 8,000 plus milliamp phone simply by putting in a spare battery. By the way, did people actually do that back in the day? I didn't. The last part of this Band-Aid I have to pull off is the camera. While it sounds good, it, well, isn't. So the front camera is a 13 megapixel camera, and as I've said before, 13 megapixels is always a bad sign. You can film in 4K at 30 frames per second, which is surprising, but the image isn't. But hey, this phone is not for that. Then on the back, we get the same 4K 30 frames per second for video, this time coming out of the 50 megapixel main camera that isn't optically stabilized for some reason, shooting at 12 megapixels normally, and sadly this performs like a budget phone's camera. Same with the 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera that ironically has a smaller camera size sensor when compared to the front camera, so sure, it takes a picture, but don't expect too much out of this. Being a rugged phone, the camera works fine for getting the image, but don't expect some artsy images out of this. Nothing worth printing. The ultra-wide is a fixed focus, so no macro options, and I don't know, I feel like a macro option should be in a rugged work phone. Like, doesn't that make sense? So now that the Band-Aid is fully off, I will say, this is actually a good phone. I have to assume that going for the materials, it's a great buy, simply because the screen cost me $21 to fix, and a battery replacement is really the cheapest you can get at $10 to $20, and anyone can do it, even a toddler, if you give them enough time. Lacking wireless charging is debatable, as the docking system will cost you more, but having 2 ways to charge your phone, or 3 if you want to include the battery externally, is all great because you don't have to replace the port if it does break. But what's the cost of the phone? At $600, don't buy these phones. They're just trying to take money from companies that buy these in bulk for field work. This is essentially A20 series or A30 series phones, so the $100 to $200 used price is honestly fair. Normally this phone wouldn't make sense, but this is slightly better than the A15 5G, which is about $120 plus, while the screen is $60 plus. Meanwhile, this is around the same price, but $20 plus for the screen and better performance, and a removable battery, and maybe water resistance. It's been a couple of years. Using the phone isn't terrible, but I will say either battery life isn't amazing, or this battery is old. But again, I don't really think it matters, because again, swappable. The app performance is usable, not super budget, but barely mid-range in my opinion. Wait, what's an opinion? What's a review? Should you buy this phone? Probably not. Having a durable phone sounds great, but again, the glass is the same as the very breakable S22 series. So what makes it durable? Plastic? The screen has a little bit of a lip to it, making it less likely to scratch the screen, but trust me, these durable phones are very breakable. Don't forget that. If you're spending near that $200 area and the durable aspect isn't really that important, then you should just get a better but very less durable S22 series. That said, if you're looking to give this to someone who's clumsy, in construction, or a kid, maybe this is the better choice long term. Again, fixing this screen feels so ironic. And that's my review of the Samsung XCover6 Pro, the phone that has been around forever that no one's really heard of. But what do you think? Are companies lazy with putting removable batteries in these types of phones and that's it? Let me know, and as always, join the 1%, and thanks for watching.